Markets are on edge, crypto crew. Bitcoin testing key levels. Ethereum on the verge of the breakout. It is grinding higher. Altcoins are trying to gain some traction, but with Bitcoin dominance up, they're having a bit of difficulty. But with the U.S. government shutdown looming on, the Fed rate cuts heating up, and whales quietly moving money. The real battle is starting, and the question is, are we finally on the verge of October, where the markets rally, or are the whales gonna pull the rug out once more? Let's break it all down. Welcome back, Crypto Crew. It's your boy Tom here, bringing you the hottest in Bitcoin and crypto action. If you like the show, make sure that you give us a like. Make sure you hit subscribe if you have not already, and make sure you come on over to X and follow us on X, where we talk about Bitcoin, crypto all day, every day with crypto maniacs. All right, let's break it all down. What do we got going on? First thing we got to handle is that we got the U.S. government shutdown drama, right? The longer the government stays closed, potentially the weaker the dollar could get, which would flood more money into crypto, right? But then there's a double-edged sword, because the longer that the government stays shut down, it actually can push monetary policy in a different direction. So we got weaker jobs data, right, that came out that boosted the odds of a Fed rate cut, which is generally bullish for risk assets. But if the shutdown drags on, we lose key economic data and the Fed policy gets more unpredictable. Translation: the longer we stay closed, or the government stays closed, which is really a good thing. Who needs the government open, right? But the longer we stay closed, expect volatility. And that's what we've been seeing. We actually been seeing one direction right now. Marketplace has been exploding upward. All right, so we're on our famous or infamous do not close below chart. All right, we're going to just hit these numbers once again. For those of you that don't understand what I'm saying, I say 109, it's 109,000. I'm basically trying to take a shortcut from saying 115,785.40. So if I say 115.7, it's 115,700,000, right? I mean, come on, man. It's, it's just trying to get the words out faster. All right, enough of that. Okay, also, I'm going to go over something for somebody. They wanted to know about the Andrews Pitchfork. I'll handle that. Let's see if they're watching today. People ask these questions, and they just fall off the face of the earth. But anyway, we'll handle it for them, all right? So anyway, right now, Bitcoin's trading right around 119,470. Okay, intraday high is basically right about here, right? So we're hitting the intraday high right now. Now the bulls are keeping the pressure on, but look, it hasn't been it's been a clean run since the breakout that we had at 111,600, 111,006, and we're going to get into that right now. But as it stands right now, marketplace, this 115.7 is an important point now. I told you, once we broke 118.3, 118.5, this level should become a very, very important point. In other words, the marketplace should respect this pullback. So right now, if we do get a pullback to this should be your first area of support. Now, if it bounces through it a little bit, $500-600, no big deal. But if we break through and go back down to 112, something's up, right? So the first level of support right now is that 115.7 should be good. Levels of resistance right at 120,000. What was the high that we reached so far today? 119,530. So if I come up into this area right here, you're going to see the 120,000. So 120K right there is the first major line of resistance. You could expect that potentially to hold the line right now with a pullback potentially to the 115.7. All right, so as we said, the bulls are keeping pressure on right now. And I'm not really expecting a clean breakout. I'm expecting some pullback, but I was wrong. I thought we are going to get a pullback down to like 110 after that 111,600 broke, but we didn't get it. Let's get on to our famous 2-hour chart. Let's look at the 2-hour chart. All right, so look, here's the Pitchfork, right? So how did I set this pitchfork up? Well, it's real simple. There's a lot of, you could do a lot of reading about Andrew's pitchfork. But really, what the simple idea of Andrew's pitchfork is that there is a meridian, right? A median line. So what I did when I looked at this chart and we were up, we were in this area right here. Okay, we made the all-time high right there, right? So we had to pull back. You could look at this between, let's say that this level, or even the ultimate, like the low right here, that 197, what was that? 197.9, right? All the way up to 120,000, right? This looks like a 0.382 pullback. Okay, now you could also look at this and go up to here and go, well, that's about a 0.618. So like I just picked this point saying that it's at a fib pullback, right? So I went, here's the point of origin that I'm interested in. So I got 0.1. Then I went up to the new high that we had. Okay, and I originally drew the pitchfork down to this low. So here were my 3 points. Point A, point B, the ultimate high that we had, and originally it was here, point C. But I'll actually move it over for you. Hopefully this is not boring anybody. But you see how we fell out of the pitchfork? So I had to readjust the pitchfork. So I took this and I said, okay, if you go back to the video, I say I got like 4 points of contact in this lower area right here, which is fine, which means that I have a support area right now that I could use to draw the bottom of the pitchfork at. Look, you see all these points of contact? I also took a line, from here and drew it across as, okay, that's my support line coming in, and here's the low. Now here was the lower tine of the pitchfork, and it reacted beautifully. Here's that 111.6. 111.6 breakout. 111,600 for those that don't understand me. 111.6 was the breakout. Market first time here, resistance 114, 115. Pullback, nice pullback to 112. Not as deep, didn't come back down to touch the entry. Did not, showing a good amount of strength. Breaking up through 117. Now this level has to be moved down to 115.7. That is now like 115,700 is now the new area of support. I'm just going back and I'm kind of like doubling up on this because I said that this area, I'm thinking technically, I know technically it should hold, right? So now what we're looking at right now is we got the resistance at 120. So what could possibly occur? Well, we could blow straight through it. Yeah, we could. That would be extremely strong. That would actually saying we're going to be testing the all-time high at 124,000 odd, 125. And there's a case for that, but I think that we will have a little bit of a pullback. I think there should be some profit taking. People people are going to get really excited for profits, especially if they've been holding for a long time. But really, the marketplace to be is right now, it has it's been a clean run up. We haven't really seen any sharp pullback yet, but there are leveraged longs that could get flushed. So the first area that we'd have to say for a leveraged long is let's go down to like 117.5. If the market turns down through that, we could basically test that 115.7 because the leveraged longs would get wiped out. All right. So whales, though, they continue to accumulate. So there's definitely a bullish undercurrent. So we're potentially in October right now. So hang on. Well, like I said, join our pro group, man. We had some really good setups in there, and we took the crew through some really cool trades. So get in there. It's free. All right. So the big levels to watch right now. Support sits 115.7. Below that's 112. Okay. A break below there, we could see deeper weakness back down to that 109 area. I don't know if that's going to happen. But on the flip side, if we reclaim momentum above 120 and that 115.7 holds, the door is open for a run towards 127 and beyond. So This is the exciting part. We've been waiting for it, the marketplace to actually kind of start moving. Now we had legendary formations that were complete, inverted head and shoulders stacked twice. If the rug gets pulled out again with this damn formation, I am going to be like livid with the whales, all right? Because we showed you this formation, and look, inverse head and shoulders, double formation. We should be in the bloody ignition zone, okay? And, really, this thing is pointing to 160,000 Bitcoin, okay? 150, 160. Of course, we're going to have resistance at 127. We'll have resistance at 130. We'll have resistance at 135 and a half, 136. But this thing is showing up, 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 up. If you can't hold, you can't be rich. All right. So anyway, get into our pro group. We'll actually guide you through this. All right. So right now, you don't want to miss it. All right. Don't get shaken out with like minor pullbacks. Don't look at every damn $10 movement down or $20 movement down. I mean, it's nothing in this marketplace. All right. That's why I say get in with a good mentoring group. Our group is really good. We'll help you out. We'll make you better traders. And because look, we don't always win. That's for sure. But we have solid reasons why we take the trades, and you can learn from the mistakes. Now, I'm not saying we win more than we lose. Yeah, but we don't win all the time. We're not saying, well, we're gurus, like everything we touch turns to gold. We're not Midas. We go through some pain and suffering like everybody else, but we have a reason to take every trade that we take, and we explain those reasons. And that's really cool. All right. So look, we also told you that like when gold moves, we talked about gold. We said that Bitcoin is all crypto markets. Bitcoin is the big dog in crypto, right? So when I say Bitcoin, I'm really talking about all crypto, right? Itself, Ethereum, everything. All right. Usually, crypto markets are the last to receive any type of liquidity. It just is the case. Okay. So, I mean, now you got big players involved in Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? You got BlackRock, Fidelity, State Street, Vanguard. I mean, they're all involved now. So perhaps it will shift a little bit, but it was the old days, or the old idea was, look, get involved in real world assets, gold, silver, get involved in different stock indexes, get involved in, interest rate swaps, derivatives, things like that, which were known as IRS, interbank swaps, where you can actually trade. You don't have to actually, you trade off interest rates, right? Using IBS or, IBS, interbank swaps, right? So, or IRS, interrate swaps as well. That's also, forget, I'm getting too far into the weeds with it. But anyway, so when gold moves, Bitcoin follows. Now, gold just printed a fresh all-time high. Bitcoin's going to follow eventually. And we said the script targets 160. It's actually pointing in the same direction as the inverse head and shoulders pattern. So the history is too clean to ignore. Bitcoin is going to rally. Yeah. And you're going to want to get in. You're going to actually have to trade with your head, not over it. Don't over leverage yourself. Don't bet the rent money, because markets don't move when you want them to move. Trust me. I played that game a lot of times in my past, learned my lesson many times, wrote it down, said, do not expect the market to do what I want it to do when I want it to do it. Although it's very frustrating, but I've learned a lesson. So you got to learn it too. But listen, you know what? The best way to learn is from somebody else's mistakes. It's the cheapest way. Okay, now you could go, yeah, I'm going to go do this all alone. I like watching Tom's videos. They're really cool. He's got some cool ideas. But, I'm just going to stick to my method of throwing a dart up against the wall. If it hits buy, I buy it. If it hits sell, I'll sell it. Yeah, you could stick to that method if you want. But, if it's not working out for you, perhaps you want to learn from somebody that's been around for over 30 years. And I've learned a lot of lessons, man, and I'm happy to share them with you. So it's always best to learn off of somebody else's mistakes. It is the cheapest way to learn. All right. Enough with that. Okay. So right now, if we look at Bitcoin, we're looking at so far. Well, let's go over this one, right? If we look at the gold, okay, like again, we said this once money flows, into Bitcoin. All right, it's one of the last to receive it, but right now it's starting to receive capital right now as you see the whales are accumulating. When the money flows, this is the same exact chart that I'm showing you here, but only a different way. It's kind of prettier way of looking at it, right? Look at this. Money flew into Bitcoin, Bitcoin rallied. Okay, money flows into Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin rallies. Look at this. Money is again flowing into Bitcoin. Bitcoin's going to rally. All right, so we see it. All right, it's here. Now we know that October has begun. If we just look at this chart, October is with us. All right, it's starting, break through the all-time high. And man, is it going to be a party. It's going to be a party. All right, so I'm expecting the whales to put, the black hats to put on one last show of defense to kind of like mess us up. It's just too clean. It's just too clean. I expect them to come in and just play with us a little bit. But we know that Bitcoin loves the fourth quarter. 2023, 93% pump. 2024, 112% pump. 2025 is loading. If history rhymes, 2025 is going to trigger the next major vertical leg. It's going to be intense. It's going to be intense. We're looking at 150, 160, and finally the fruition comes through. Okay, then we're going to be talking about where we got to get out. But let's, we're entering really what has accumulation has happened. Okay, but distribution hasn't really begun yet. I mean, if we look right here, we got the accumulation. Here was the manipulation. Now we're going into distribution. This is the parabolic phase. This is it. This is Wyckoff, parabola happening. Hold on tight. Strap in. We're going full, what was that movie with Al Pacino? Say hello to my little friend. That movie right there. We're going full in. Crazy movement upward. That's what we're expecting. All right, so what was that movie? Scarface. We're going full Scarface upward. All right, let's look at Ethereum. All right, let's calm down, Tom. Take it easy. All right, look, Ethereum, it drew the holy grail of chart patterns. Okay, measured move points vertical. Ethereum's next stop is 5 digits. Okay, so Ethereum right now is trading right at 4,400. Just over. Okay, it went up to 4,415, I think. The lows were near 4,281. This thing is coiling very, very tight right now. So Ethereum's moving in line with Bitcoin, but it hasn't shaken off some of the baggage. Regulatory pressure, competition from faster chains, and scaling stern still remain real for Ethereum, but it's not going to hold Ethereum back. Okay. That said, Ethereum often gets a second win when traders rotate profits out of Bitcoins and into altcoins. Right now, we're looking at Bitcoin dominance. We'll get into that in a second. But really, short-term breakout for Ethereum is right here, 4,004. Now, let's get to that chart. I want to show you that chart that we've had up. Very, very important chart for Ethereum. Here it is. We showed you this chart before. Right is the level, 4,004. Let's say 4,600. Let's give it a little skid. Let's say we need to break out above 4,600 to start, let the Ethereum start carrying its own weight forward. So 4,600 would be the breakout. Next level to crawl over is the 5,000. And then that 6,000, $6,000 is in sight for Ethereum. All right. So if we look at Ethereum, the 25 basis point cut in the market has actually, we got 3 to 14 day correction has been done. Let's check out that chart. If we look at this, we can see the 3 to 14 day correction is basically over. Ethereum is starting to get through the breakout mode right now, entering it right now. And October has always been the trigger, right? So alt season is in, it's getting ready to detonate. Q4 is where portfolios really could retire bloodlines. I mean, if you get involved in the right altcoins, Ethereum included, I mean, you really could build some tremendous amount of wealth for yourself. So get into our pro group, man. We'll guide you through it. We got some really good coin picks, and we'll help you. Look, it's never fun to get rich alone, right? It's always nice to have a group of people you can work with that really want to work together and for one common goal is to make everybody wealthier and have a good time doing it. Of course, we're going to have our setbacks, but really the whole overall objective is to actually help people out. Why? because it helps us out. Like we get to talk about, different market scenarios. We get to actually, and you know what? It feels good to be right. Okay, it feels good to lead people and say, "Damn, that guy was right." That's nice, when I pass on. People might, you guys are much younger than me. Can remember? I remember that guy Tom, man. He was right a lot about Bitcoin, and blah blah blah. His technical analysis was good. It's a good way to live forever, right? In a way, not that I want to live forever, because you have to pay taxes forever. I'm not into that. But anyway, right now, if we look at this, we're looking at Q4, where this thing could explode upward. We're looking at $10,000 is written in Ethereum. So the Ethereum run really is like writing itself. Remember back in the past where they mocked 1,500? Yeah, remember when they mocked 1,500 right there? Then they doubted 2,200. Forget about it. They looked at 4,000 like absolutely no way, because we did have a really severe pullback there. Okay. But now the chart's screaming 10,000 for Ethereum. That's what the chart is screaming. Let me pull this down so you can make sure you see what that is. Ethereum, 10,000. Remember, breakout 4,600 should be the way, should be the start to basically 5,000, maybe even potentially 5,500 before a pullback again. But let's get through the 4,600 first. That will be the first start, because we could see that the Ethereum run is writing itself. Okay, the chart now screams 10,000 for Ethereum overall. Cycles repeat, but this time ETFs and Wall Street are going to send this coin nuclear. So speaking of altcoins, let's just get into Bitcoin down. Actually, before I do that, before I get into that, let's talk about what this pro group I keep talking about. You want to get in with the cool crowd. You want to be part of the, want to sit at the nice table in the lunchroom. Everybody just envies over. Well, you click this link right there. You'll be taken over to our Telegram trading community, where you can sign up for free and get into our pro group. Also, if you just want to go it alone, you're a lone wolf. We can understand that. Click this link right there. You will get yourself $1,000 Ethereum position for free. Plus, they've offered like no fees forever on WeX, the broker of our choice, where we showcase our trades. And also, we teamed up with BTC, is an established exchange, now running a $500 giveaway for new users. This is fully trusted by our team as well. We'll be doing some more work with them as well. Hey, you're interested in Forex trading? You click here. Join my little channel. 730 subscribers right now. Trying to get to 1,000 so I can win a box of cigars. So if you guys feel kind enough, please just join. Doesn't matter if you want to watch Forex or not. But I do some really good technical analysis on Forex. Also, I have a free boot camp coming up. Click that link there. You can sign up for that. All right, let's get back into it. All right, so what are we talking about as far as altcoin action is concerned? Let's look at Bitcoin dominance. Bitcoin dominance itself right now is slightly higher than yesterday. It's like 58.93. Now, we've been saying we got to get through 57.5 really for altcoin season to completely really kick in. But we're seeing selective strength. Capital is starting to trickle into ecosystems like XRP Ledger, Polkadot, while majors like Solana, AD are still fighting to find momentum. The broader altcoin market doesn't really have a clear catalyst yet. So right now, we got to treat rallies with caution, because as Bitcoin is gaining strength, those rallies are kind of faltering. Okay, so make no mistake, when rotation hits, okay, the moves are going to be explosive in certain coins. Okay, now if we look at the total crypto market cap, we showed you this chart before. We're really thinking that this thing is going to rally. We know that once Bitcoin dominance cools, okay, we're going to be able to see a 5.35 trillion market cap. That's probably going to be it. That will be the blow off top that we have. But, we'll guide you through it. We're not there yet. Okay, we're kind of getting there, kind of slowly grinding. But, every cycle ends the same, and we're going to actually help you out. So make sure you get into that free group, man, that we keep talking about. All right, so if you're ready to step into our world of high-performance trading, make sure you click those links in that description below. All right, so here, what are the landmines on the radar? All right, so we got Bitcoin itself, prolonged U.S. shutdown adds uncertainty. However, that can continue gold's rally. that could continue gold's rally, which means that's going to continue in the long run. Bitcoin's master rally upward, okay? Fed's inflation data, well, we saw the jobs report, but if anything comes out that's like crazy, it could flip sentiment quickly. But right now, we got to say interest rates are headed lower in the United States. Now, there are a lot of people that are overexposed traders that are still at risk of liquidation. They haven't learned their lesson. Okay. Now, maybe this time they'll get it right. Maybe it won't retrace where they're going to get wiped out again. But it's got to stay steady. It's got to hold, I believe, above 115.7. So we got regulation that we got to keep our lookout, especially around Ethereum itself. And we got what I consider altcoin fatigue right now. And I'm tired of saying altcoin season starting. It's going to start. It's fatigue right now. So. We need projects basically to get some fresh narratives to like really push and run those projects. Now, there are some really good projects out there that haven't really stated their case that great. So make sure you follow us on X because we talk about those projects and we highlight certain aspects of those projects that are really make them stellar. All right, so that's about it for today's rundown. Make sure you come on over to X. Follow us on X where we talk about Bitcoin, crypto, all day, every day. That's where Merlin's at token 2049 or whatever like this thing is. I don't know. Token 2049. Nice to travel a little bit, right? Look at that. I want the job. I want the job as being the robot, walking around. That would be pretty cool. All right. Anyway, so here's the rundown, right? We got Ethereum, the Bitcoin, the alt spaces are moving with big macro wins. All right. So what do you got to do? Well, you got to think about joining our free community. Okay, it's completely free. Get in there. If you don't like it, you can always leave. You can always get your money back, right? Second thing you got to do, if you don't join that, you got to do your own research. Remember, I am not a financial advisor. I am just a trader, just like you. Also, what do you have to do? Well, you got to trade with your head, not over it. Don't over leverage yourself. And the last thing you got to do, if you're a short-term trader, is enjoy the party, but dance near the door. I'll see you tomorrow, crew. Cheers.